Welcome to Red Ring Unfiltered. My name is Emmanuel Oma. Today, Kenya bid farewell to one of its most gallant political figures in the country, one of a kind. That is the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who was laid to rest in Kango, Kajaramogi, Bondo, Siaya County. Of course, that platform did give people a chance to speak their mind and give their views on what the Right Honorable Raila Odinga told them. And of course, we have Mr. Odoyo Widi here to help us unmask what really transpired and how he thinks the event went. Thank you so much, Mwalimu, for joining us today.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
How are you?
Very well. I'm good.
Yes.
I have watched everything.
You've watched. Indeed, it has been a very eventful occasion, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. And even at that, there were a lot of political statement. And let's start here with that is the ODM Secretary General. And as the late Raila Odinga said, that ODM Secretary General is the spokesperson of the party. And one of the things that he did say is that Raila Odinga gave them instructions to listen to the ground. Do you agree with that?
I think what I need to say about Edwin Sifuna is that he's using the recklessness of youth. I think he was reckless about the statement. He was reckless about the occasion. He was reckless about the timing, and he was reckless about the tone. And he never took his time even to understand the very Raila Odinga he purports to support. One thing you need to understand,
yes,
if you want to tell us you are a friend of Raila Odinga, and you are his closest friend,
yes,
and you believed in him,
yeah,
then you must also take cognizance of the mood and what the family is saying and feeling.
Yeah.
If you looked around, you notice everyone in the family of Raila Odinga,
yes,
was very happy with the current broad-based government, was very happy by the subsequent support for President William Ruto,
yes,
in 2027 and going forward. And I also said that Sifuna was reckless enough not to interpret correctly what Raila Odinga may have said.
Yeah.
First of all, when Raila Odinga said that that the ODM will have a candidate in 2027,
yes,
Raila Odinga did not say who that candidate was going to be. He did not say, and it is not usual,
yeah,
for us to remain with less than 3 years to the election, and we were not clear if Raila Odinga was going to be a candidate. The fact that he did not mention himself as the candidate,
yes,
he did not declare himself as the candidate, it meant he had another candidate. And also, Raila Odinga did not tell us in what form ODM will be in 2027, because it may have a candidate,
yes,
that it will be in a coalition partnership which has a candidate which ODM will support. Or
yes,
was ODM going to be a standalone political party with its own candidate?
Yeah.
Logic tells us that Raila Odinga would not be alive and kicking and is still proposing somebody else to be a candidate in ODM. It had to be him. And if it was to be him...
But he has done that before.
He should have said it now.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, in 2002, Raila Odinga declared Kibaki Tosha.
Yes.
It is possible that this time he had already declared President William Ruto Tosha, and President William Ruto was going to be the ODM candidate in 2027. But also,
yeah,
we need to look at it differently. It is possible also,
yes,
that Raila Odinga and President William Ruto were going to collapse the two parties into one, and maybe the standing party would be ODM, just like President Moi and
yes,
Raila Odinga collapsed their two parties into one, and that one party was KANU.
And do you think, just on the hold on that thought, because the president alluded to that in the next coming election, it is either ODM that is forming the government or ODM is being part of the government?
Yes, it is possible. And I think President William Ruto, from where he sits, he has decided and indicated that ODM is there to stay. But he has not indicated that UDA is there to stay. So it is possible that he will say, okay, sisi kama watu wa UDA, because I am myself a founder member of ODM,
yes,
we will all go into ODM, and I will be the presidential candidate. Anybody else can be leader. Oburu can continue being the leader of ODM. Gladys can continue being the chairman of ODM.
Yes.
Sifuna, if he so wishes, can remain the Secretary General. But the presidential candidate of the party becomes President William Ruto. And that makes him a de facto party leader. So I think it was reckless for Sifuna to talk like ODM was going to have a candidate, and that candidate was not going to be Ruto, and that candidate was going to be decided sometimes in the future.
But even on that, Mwalimu, Sifuna has been very consistent on people listening to the ground, or other political leaders listening to the ground. The fact that he repeated this at the funeral of the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga means that this is consequential to him.
You then, from where you sit and from where I sit, Edwin Sifuna is talking the language of another political formation. The language of listening to the ground is not the language of ODM. It is not the language of Ruto-led UDA. It is language of Wamunyoro. So if Sifuna has already moved on to work with the Wamunyoro axis, then so be it. He can leave tomorrow and leave ODM and UDA to go on forward together. Mbele pamoja ODM and UDA. Because when you introduce the language spoken by another political party, it means you are propagating their ideals, which we are not going to accept in ODM. So I think it is just high time that we give Sifuna time to mourn his friend Raila Odinga and take a walk. Because in any case, even when Raila Odinga was clearly telling us, because when Raila Odinga spoke at the funeral of Dr. Phoebe Asio, on the other end of the world, Sifuna was talking completely different from what Raila Odinga was saying. And he even came to tell us that as long as Raila Odinga has not told him to shut up, he will keep on saying what he's saying, because Raila Odinga said everybody has a freedom of speech. And I think that one was just gaslighting us. The truth of the matter is that Edwin Sifuna is already in a completely different political formation, the political formation whose language is listening to the ground. What Sifuna does not know, that ground that is being listened to is not in the strongholds of ODM, is not in the strongholds of UDA, is not in the independent parts of Kenya. It is in the mountain where Rigiji seemed to reign. But I think also they must also remember that when President William Ruto spoke and when Uhuru Kenyatta spoke, it is clear that they have already warmed up to each other. And President William Ruto clearly made it clear that he had spoken to both Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga on the future of Kenya, because they both wanted Kenya to be a first world country.
But even as at that, Mwalimu, before there was a meeting of ODM that took place, I think, in western part of the country, and there was a lot of agitation about whatever Edwin Sifuna was saying, and Raila came out clearly and said, you should not castigate Sifuna, you know, he's the Secretary General of the party. Everybody has a right to say what he's feeling, Mwalimu.
I think Raila Odinga was just trying to be not only diplomatic, but also to appear to be democratic. Normally, it would have been wrong for Raila Odinga to come and also say that Sifuna has no right to say what he said, because the freedom of speech is inherent in this country, in everyone. So I think what he did was just right. But again, it was also clear that Raila Odinga has not made up his mind that Sifuna was so wrong that he needs to leave the party. No, he had not made up his mind. But I think as of now, in order to have a united party going forward, Sifuna needs either to toe the line of the party or leave. If you want to know the line of the party, you listen to the party leader. That party leader is none other than Dr. Oburu Odinga. You also listen to the people closest to the party. The people closest to the party are Dr. Aida Odinga, Winnie Odinga, and the other top officials like Gladys Wanga, John Mbadi, who is still within the party rims. So if anybody is talking outside all these people, then who is he leading as a Secretary General? Who is he leading? Because the key people in the party are completely out of his space. They are speaking a completely different language. And him is speaking the language of the opponents.
Oh, and even onto that, because there was a lot of political statements that were made. One of them came from, I think, Junet Mohammed, who is the current minority leader, and he said that he heard that people say that he is a political orphan, and when he looked around, he saw numerous orphans, and he will be becoming the chairperson of all those orphans. What do you think about that?
I like Junet because of his satire. I like him because of his sense of humor. But to an extent, he was right. If you look at majority of the people who have enjoyed the ODM gravy train, all of them are orphans now because all of them owe their elections to none other than Raila Odinga. Because if you look at the length and breadth of Luo land from Muhuru Bay to Imba Usenge,
yes,
each and every one of those people got their tickets on a silver plate. Maybe save for Elisha Odhiambo and I don't know who else, but I can only remember Elisha Odhiambo.
Samatandi.
And Samatandi, who fought for their tickets very hard. But later, Atandi mended his fences with Raila Odinga very well. But nevertheless, all of them owe their election to Raila Odinga, and for that reason, they are also orphans. It is not only Junet. Maybe we can also say that Junet may have been a slightly more distant outsider in all this, but he has many people to stay with him in the cold house of orphans.
and even as that, there was the host governor, the Governor James Orengo, came out and addressed mourners and said that, you know, we should not kill or rather subdue these political parties, especially our vibrant democracy, because he says that when KADU merged with KANU, it took us so long so that we can at least get another space for this kind of, you know, the democratic space that we're enjoying today.
Of course, there are many people who would want us to preserve ODM because in the whole of their political career, the only political party that has made them sail through easily to leadership is ODM. In the absence of ODM, it will be very difficult for them because they will have to begin by fighting for a proper political ticket to go into the elections with. So if you look at Mheshimiwa James Orengo, the only guaranteed avenue to re-election is through ODM. So if it comes to his mind that somebody would try to dissolve ODM or kill ODM, then how is he going to survive in the next general election? So I think somebody like James Orengo must fight very hard that ODM remains and remains in the hands of people he can control or he can deal with in such a way that they sit somewhere and decide that all the sitting governors are all going to get direct tickets back to re-election. And I think that is what would have happened if Raila were to continue living.
Yes.
But again, now in the absence of Raila, he would like to want to go and sit down somewhere and say, okay, for us as old members of ODM and people who are already serving, we are going to get direct tickets for re-election. Yes. And again, that direct ticket for re-election would not be very useful if the ODM has been subdivided into smaller pieces. So that would also bring problem because you may find that a small portion of Siaya will be in another political party, say MDG, another piece will be in ODM-B, another one in ODM-C, another one in another political party like PDP of Zakaria Obado, and then you find now you are not guaranteed an easy sail to re-election. So I think that is why James Orengo had to cry that let ODM be. And I don't think President William Ruto has any intention of destroying ODM. In fact, for me, from where I sit, I know he has every intention to make ODM stronger and stronger within a coalition in which is the leader.
Now, even on that, because there was a lot of things that were said. For example, one of the clarion call that was undertaken, especially in the funeral, was the call for a united Luo nation, and that should be behind the broad-based government. Do you think that is the right thing to do currently?
That call is appropriate, but it is not necessary. Because people need to understand that when people are united, they are always united behind a cause. And if that cause is led by somebody, then they will be behind that somebody. For example, the Luos were very united behind Raila Odinga because the common cause of every Luo was a presidency that comes to a Luo. That is what united people behind Raila Odinga. If Raila Odinga was not a credible presidential candidate, the Luo would have not been united behind him. But again, the Luo generally are people who don't like injustice. So one of the reasons why they also were behind Raila Odinga, because Raila Odinga was fighting what we all saw as injustice. And we thought he's a man of goodwill who meant well for society.
Yes.
And that is why it was followed. So there were two causes that made the Luo unite behind Raila.
Yes.
Fighting for justice and seeking the presidency.
And even on to that, because Raila was eulogized as one of the people who did seek peace, even when it was not convenient at that particular time. And this one came through, political leaders who stood and spoke consistently. Do you share in that view, Mwalimu?
Raila would always seek peace, and I think I agree with him in one position.
Yes.
Once you are in a contest, say a football match,
yes,
and the referee has blown the whistle that the match is over, team B has won.
Yeah.
So even if you are team A, you can't continue playing. Even if you score, it will not be counted.
Yeah.
So after the election is over and a president has been sworn in, it is only in the interest of your community that you take them to government en masse so that they enjoy the benefits of that government, so that they take their fair share of in the government. So I think Raila Odinga was each time doing the right thing. The only thing that his detractors were complaining about, that when other people go on their own, he refused. And I also think to an extent he was also right, because when they go on their own, are they going to champion the interest of the wider society or of their own?
Their own.
And that is where we also had the issues. But nevertheless, I think what he did was the correct thing to do at any given point in time. We could not continue fighting the government for 5 years when we can join it and have our fair share of resources in that government.
Yes, indeed. And it is important. For example, the one thing that really came out in this period of mourning Raila Odinga was that Raila was someone who will always be down to earth and listen to people. In your interaction, Mwalimu, do you believe in that, or can you attest to that?
I have had several hours of being with Raila Odinga in privacy. We would just be the two of us and chatting. And one thing that you learn when you chat with him is that indoors he's a very humble man. The Raila Odinga you see in political rallies breathing fire against any government of any person seeming to be supplying injustice to the people in large quantities. He's not the one you meet indoors when there is no political war to fight. He's very humble, very down to earth, very calm. And many a times would even be busy on his phone if he has no stories to talk about and laugh. So I think that is something I do agree with.
Yes, and even so when the ministers were speaking, one thing that came out is that he really helped them to secure the positions that they were in. Someone said, I think that is C.S. Joho, said that he did held his hand when nobody knew. I mean, Raila helped a lot of people. Is that that was a good thing, right?
We can't just say blanketly that it was a good thing, but I need to explain the perspective under which that happened.
Yes.
All those people you say, like one key person who talked about that was Mbadi.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Mbadi, Raila held his hand from nowhere to everywhere he is now.
Yeah.
And of course there are many other people who are complaining that why was Mbadi's hand held and not mine and not the others. But there is something you do when you lead a people to war.
Yes.
When you lead people to war and you have an army, if there is somebody very strong in the army and is attempting to divide the army, he must be stopped by whichever means possible. So only people who are loyal and committed to the army ideals will remain in the army, however weak they are. And however strong you are in the army and you are attempting to divide the army will have to deal with you. In fact, in military, you would be executed. So in politics, in the political game that Raila Odinga was playing, playing.
Yeah.
Raila Odinga wanted the Luo to remain united for a common cause. So if there is a Luo within that who was looking very strong and his primary intention is to cause commotion within ODM
Yes.
or within the Luo society and to divide a piece of the society and to go away with it,
Yeah.
Raila Odinga would look for whatever means available to stop you, including blocking you from getting elected. So that is what he would do. And that is how he ended up favoring some people and leaving others. Because those people were harmless to the cause of the community.
Yes, and do you think that that was a good thing, especially given that some people's ambition were cut short, you know?
I have told you why he cut short some people's ambition. But I think that ambition should have not been cut short forever,
yes.
for times on end. They would also be given, they should have also been given an opportunity to show their leadership skills, to demonstrate that actually we mean well. Because sometimes they may not even know why they were being stopped from those leadership positions.
Yes.
And that is one thing that was a problem. But again, there is nobody who is perfect.
Yes.
It was not Raila Odinga, it is not William Ruto, it is not Uhuru Kenyatta, not Gideon Moi, not even Jesus himself. Nobody is perfect. But I think it is important that from time to time, people sit down and discuss the common cause, the common goal, and the destiny of the society.
Yes, and another thing that came out is when the president came out to speak, and he said that he had private conversation with Raila Odinga and with Uhuru Kenyatta on where he wants to take the country, and he briefed the former president, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, on what he had discussed with the country, especially on how the trajectory that they want to take to the country, especially when he talked about, I think, extending this SGR and doing some double, what do you call, dual carriages in different parts of the country. Do you think that one is a good idea, especially in opening our economic space in that particular area?
It is very important that that happens. But also, the reason why some of those things are first done in private and then later cascaded out, is because of disagreements in those conversations. One example that I use quite often, when Nelson Mandela wanted to agree with the apartheid government, they first met with the president, the two of them, even without the knowledge of his co-jailmates. Once they had agreed, and they had agreed on a way forward, Mandela then introduced his co-jailmates, who I think 5 people. And the president of South Africa also introduced his other people to this. Then later, they introduced him into the leadership of their wider political parties. And then later, the whole nation were involved. If it would not have been done that way, that kind of reconciliation would have not succeeded. Because we live in a society where we also have extremists, where we also have people who benefited from such chaos. So if you bring that to the wider society, it would bring chaos. People will veto it. That is how it's done. Even in Luo today, if you want to lead them, and you start forming whatever the organization you want to use to lead them alone, then you bring them one by one. But if you go to an initial meeting, immediately the meeting is over, people will start their long stories. They will make the calls, oh, this guy thinks we are this, he wants to use us. Such language will be there.
but that's very interesting. But then, and again, the president eulogized Raila Odinga in regards that Raila Odinga was a peacemaker, was someone who he went to when nobody wanted to associate with him, especially during the Gen Z protests, you know?
Yes, actually, one thing I always tell Kenyans is that the Gen Z protests were not organic. They were not spontaneous. They were not natural. They were organized by certain people. They were mobilized by certain people, given certain agenda. We have been told multiple times that the Gen Zs did not have a tribe, they did not have leadership, and they did not have political parties. But they were writing letters They were convening meetings, yet they didn't have leadership. How that was possible? And even if you get any one of those Gen Zs and put them down,
yes,
how they became part of this, you will never find any who is the originator. It means the originators are hiding. And when you look at the mobilization of the Gen Z protests, every evening there were political rallies in social media addressed by very senior people in society like Martha Karua, Miguna, Kivuta Kibwana, and such people, Willie Mutunga. They were the ones addressing Gen Zs and telling them why they should go on the streets and so on. So they were being incited to go onto the streets. It was not their original idea. And this is what culminated from what used to be called, what was called the Limuru 3 conference. So there is no Gen Z who decided on his own that we have to protest against this government. Somebody who is not a Gen Z organized them and pushed them forward. And the selection of Gen Zs to do this was very deliberate because they have the recklessness of youth and they don't have the benefit of history to know this is supposed to happen this way. If it happened this way, this is what to expect.
Yes.
And also, Gen Zs at that age, they are purists. They want perfection.
Yes.
If they are told that in this meeting you should appear in red,
you should do red.
It has to be red, no maroon, no in between, no pink.
But I think that's the good thing.
Or no half red. That is Gen Zs the way they are, because they imagine an ideal world. But the world of nature
doesn't work.
There is the normal curve, extreme left, extreme right, and the center.
And the center.
Yes.
And given that Raila came and helped the president at that particular time, means that Raila was a very selfless man, right?
Not only selfless man, but at his age now, he meant well for society. He had passed the age of chest stamping, of recklessness, because he had been reckless in the past. But at his age now, it mattered well that Kenya moved on forward well.
And just as we put this conversation to an end, what do you, as Mr. David, because you interacted with Raila on a personal basis and you had numerous interaction, what do you learn from him that you may carry forward in your daily life?
One thing that I learned from him, that you cannot lead a people with a committee. It does not work. The war will start within the committee. Be alone and control the committee. But also, one thing I saw in Raila Odinga that I will also not forget. Raila Odinga has no specific answer for anything. No. Because those specific answers, people will always fight them.
Yes.
I don't know whether he copied Jesus. Jesus also never had specific answer for anything. No.
Parables.
He was also a parable. Or he will answer you with another question, so you go and think through it.
Yes.
Or he will give you an idea of how to get an answer for the question you are asking him. And I think that was a very interesting thing. But equally and most important, Raila Odinga made sure those potential trouble causers in his political party now or in the future are stopped in time.
What do you think about Post-Raila in Luo Nyanza in terms of politics?
Wow. Again, in Raila Odinga's attempts to reduce the level of rebellion and division within Luo Nyanza, he picked those who naturally appear to be loyal. And such people, half of them are generally very weak leaders. So that explains why in Luo land we largely have quite a number of leaders who are weak, who cannot lead without Raila. You remember, there are many of them who says, when Raila goes left, we go left. When he goes right, we go right. When he says fire, we fire.
We fire.
What are they going to do now that there's no Raila to go left for them to follow, or go right for them to follow, or order them to fire? What are they going to do? It means they have no experience of knowing where to go and when to fire. So that is the problem we have run into. But again, the electorate and the people are there to elect new leaders who can now survive without the strong leadership of Raila Odinga.